Good afternoon to everyone in nature. My name is Indy Martin, and today I'll be sharing our time together in the great outdoors. First of all, in Nature Class 101, my presentation is concerning the importance of teaching the Trivium to children as it relates to the journey to consciousness. The Trivium is the basics or the basis of learning. Children would first need to be taught about these basic learning fundamentals of the Trivium in order or sequence. Most people, and including me, had this type of learning left out of their education when we were growing up. Hopefully today you'll learn what the Trivium is and understand it at a deep level, that when you're teaching a topic that is unfamiliar to someone, you'll have to start with the basics. This is what helps anyone, and especially children, learn knowledge or something new. Understanding the age groups and breakdown of the three methods of learning. Grades K through 6, grammar. The early years of school are spent absorbing facts, systematically laying the foundations for advanced study. The first years of schooling are called the grammar stage, not because you spend 4 years doing English, but because these are the years in which the building blocks for all the other learning are laid, just as grammar is the foundation for language. Grades 7 through 9, logic. In the middle grades, students learn to think through arguments. By 5th grade, a child's mind begins to think more analytically. Middle school students are less interested in finding out facts than in asking why. The second phase of the classical education is a time when the child begins to pay attention to cause and effect, to the relationships between different fields of knowledge. Grades 10 through 12, rhetoric. In the high school years, students learn to express themselves. A student is ready for the logic stage when the capacity for abstract thought begins to mature. The final phase of the classical education builds on the first two, which is grammar and logic. At this point, the high school student learns to write and speak with force and originality and build their communication skills. Another important benefit of the Trivium education is that they teach Latin and other languages. But Latin in particular reveals a great deal about English and significantly enhances the student's power of expression in his native language. About 80% of English vocabulary is derived from Latin and Greek. Latin trains minds to encounter unfamiliar material with success, whether in science or any other discipline. It is simple, logical, and consistent. Therefore, Latin students more easily grasp the grammatical structure of English, and the foundation is laid for other language study. To learn the self, it is about the journey of the self, which is deep and very sacred. The science of the self is this. If you want to see any positive changes happen in the world right now, one would first need to care enough to become a builder of that important foundation. This means using the Trivium, which is being able to understand that foundation of learning and being that co-creator or that builder of the self in nature. Or we can be someone that stands by and only focuses on their day-to-day existence or the behaviors of the people in their lives. Seriously? Taking a good hard look at our personal roles in nature helps us to be aligned with creating powerful, meaningful, physical manifestations, which helps us on our start to our journey. Staying confused in a cognitive dissonance state of mind is not a good place to be. Witnessing this state of mind in the communities that we live in is one of the key factors that motivates us to learn truth and to care more. Once we are aware and we observe how people make decisions, we can see how obvious it is how a group of people can be swayed into a belief system. If we care with a capital C, we will be the pursuers of truth. Remember, we can't just investigate one website or another website over here or a couple of books back here or a blog or a podcast and think that we've found all the answers. It takes time, and it takes an eclectic variety of different sources of information, and you don't want to be judgmental when you're looking into these different sources. You want to study everything and keep that open mind so you can find truth for yourself. Wanting to pursue and work on a higher collective learning of nature's laws helps the internal intelligence of the universe. Only at this time will we feel the positive vibrational changes in our minds, our souls, and the communities that we reside in. Principles, or the foundations of truth, nature, and morality, come first. Period. We are one with nature, and what we do, learn, how we behave, what we tolerate, affects the all, the everything. Most importantly, it affects the children and young adults. You know this. You feel this. Now it's up to all of us, and I mean all of us, to find out why this happened to our species. You know why. If you find yourself not really thinking about the children, because they are, by the way, the progeny and posterity of our species, maybe it's because no one really cared with a capital C about you as a child. I can honestly say that any type of behavior that causes harm to children or young people or to any sentient beings needs to be corrected and stopped now. Our job as a collective is to work on the research and to find out why this powerlessness and fear happened in the first place. Looking back at ancient history, and then why it's still happening today, thousands of years later. Really? Remember, most were taught that they were powerless to change all the atrocities in the world, right? In fact, the power has always been with us and in us. We just didn't know it because we were led astray and not told the truth from the very beginning of our lives. So why didn't our parents, or where we received our education, teach us these principles in nature, or the foundation of learning, which is the Trivium? You know why. Deep down inside, you know that the game is up. For some, it is staring them right in their face as I speak. The suffering of our species, especially the children and young adults, has been and is not acceptable. We have allowed this to happen by not saying no and standing up to it and allowing it to continue. It is important to truly know that harm cannot continue without our authorization. However, most adults are in complete denial of this, and they always want to shift the blame on someone or something else because they feel that someone or something should come to their rescue and stop the harm and fix it. All right then. You tell me who's responsible. Most people's behavior is a self-reflection of their level of consciousness. That's all there is to it. There is not an in-between. It is either right or wrong. In conclusion, the Trivium is the basic learning foundation to start this journey of finding truth and consciousness. When you understand how the Trivium helps build that foundation for learning, you'll be more aware of why you weren't taught this as a child. You know the reason why. This is the key to understanding why you and 98% of others were led down a wrong path early in life. The right choice, and everyone's choice, is whether to climb that mountain or to a higher learning or a higher plane, or remain ignorant to what is happening that is causing any type of harm. I encourage everyone to spend some time to heal the internal self. As you know, anything of value takes time to learn, but when you know this deeply, you can no longer be in denial. In conclusion, class, we are all one with nature and the universe, whether we know it or understand it or not. Therefore, everything we do in our everyday lives, our behaviors in public or in private, whether we live by principles or morality or not, affects the all, the everything. What I want to know is how anybody can continue to ignore this. Ask yourself, what's important to you? Is it financial freedom or health? Maybe you just want to be left alone and live in peace, and that's it. It's obvious that people's daily behaviors speak volumes about what they truly care about. That's why it's imperative and vital that you personally know at a deep level how important you are to the healing process and how imperative it is to learn this knowledge and to live by the foundation of truth in nature. Thank you.